think
Let's go.
we can start. Okay. At Mediaweb, we are focused on digital experiences. Focus tomorrow digital experiences is one of our taglines. And I'm Nelson Rodrigues. I'm one of the founders of Mediaweb. I have been working in digital experiences in the past 20 years, since websites at the beginning to enterprise software, out systems, design systems, and now more Agentic and Generative UI also. And with me is here Ricardo.
Hi, so my name is Ricardo Luiz, also part of the Mediaweb team here, leading more of what we are trying to do with the business development in terms of AI offering. Although we have a very different take on AI, we usually like to assess what are the needs first. So we like to be guided by first principles and understand what are the needs that people have in the market. Been doing this for 20 years. I've led teams of UI, UX, and then for the last 12 years in the product management side, doing ML, doing computer vision, so doing a lot of AI related stuff since the beginning, so in the last 12 years. And then just trying to help people, mentor people, nurture and support this product management community. And nowadays more on the AI space as well. We developed a lot of products here at Mediaweb. We are developing also some processes, some frameworks on our own. And some of the stuff that we've been developing in the last few months, it's the stuff that we are going to share with you today. Only just a tip of the iceberg, okay? So if you want to know more, if you are curious, if you want to understand how we can help you, definitely ping us after the show, or ask us at the end of the presentation, because we'll have time for the Q&A at the end, and we'll definitely share more.
I will just highlight the part that you said there. Everyone is actually working with AI now, or using, or working. We
have
kind
to
of
say that.
have a different approach. Like we came more from the design and the experience part. So our work on top of AI is focused on elevating user experience. For that, we don't want to just use technical systems without a purpose. Our objective using AI is to focus in the problem and find the best way of solving that problem, and can be part of that, can help automate part of the process, or generate part of the things that need to be done and then being revisited. But yeah, I think we can start actually.
And you know, this is my favorite part, is that, as Nelson was saying, everyone is talking about AI. It's 2026. It seems that we have this bubble where everyone is very super advanced, has a lot of agentic workflows, doing all of their work for them. But when I wake up and I look at the interfaces that we still have, the experience that we still have, it seems that we all get the same static experience we did 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So this is the big disconnect for me, is that although we are in 2026, although we are in this AI era, it seems that we haven't moved the needle when it comes to that. So everyone gets the same. And this is something that Nelson and I have been discussing for the last few months, that does not make sense. In an age that we are actually able to do a little bit more, we are still forcing different people with different needs having the exact same experience as they had like 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. It does not make sense.
Yeah, so we think that they should not have the same experience, because we believe that AI allow us now to high customize user interfaces. Like in the past, the interfaces were done from roles, like your admin can have a kind of dashboard, the user or the manager can have other kind of dashboard. So it's pre-built, the engineers and designers need to pre-think what functionalities which one will have. Even that you could have some configurations or something like that, but everything needed to be pre-created. With generative AI, we want to go a step forward and generate interfaces real customized for each one of us. Like if I and Ricardo have the same role in the same company, I am working in different projects than him. I have different tasks in my plate, and he probably have other things that I don't have. So if we will be able to generate an interface focus in the exact things that need to be done at the moment, and being proactive, helping the user doing that tasks, that I think is a good objective for the future.
That would actually make sense, because what we have nowadays, it's exactly what we have in this image, which is three different people in the same organization. They have very different needs. And to Nelson's point, they go beyond the role, right? So because if John probably is from the, I don't know, metrics data department, and he wants to see the reports, he wants to see the KPIs, he wants to keep track of those. But John probably, even within his team, he has his own set of things, tasks that he needs to do. So the kind of stuff that John needs is very different from someone else in his own team. So even a role specification that we could definitely adjust, like that interface for that person, does not adjust to these personal things, these personal needs that I have. And they do not adapt to the time of the year or the time of the week that we are in. Because we know that the tasks that we do on a Monday, they are not the same that we do on the Friday, or the jobs and the things that we need to focus when the quarter begins, they are definitely not the same when we are reaching the quarter end or when we are reaching the project end that we are operating. So this is the thing that we are trying to fight and trying to advise companies on changing, is that going beyond what you're feeding the same experience to everyone to something else, which is hyper-personalization. So you can do it right now with the technology that we have available. You can cater the interface, the experience that people need, as Nelson said, on this exact moment. For John, what is the most relevant set of tasks that he really needs to pay attention to? Okay, just follow the KPIs and have an overview of the result. So why should he be bothered with everything else? Because it's just noise. He can focus on that. Amber, the same with charts and data, because probably she runs the analytics and all of that side. Why should she be faced to kind of go outside of the noise and then focus on the interface? If the interface does that for her, then it's very simple. She just needs to pay attention to whatever it's in the interface, and she knows what is reactive, what is proactive, and then just very clearly set for her. The same with Sam. So what we are preaching here, not just preaching, what we are going to show you, because we've done this with our customers, is that personalization, it's not a thing, it's a possibility that we can use to increase productivity, efficiency, and basically overall satisfaction from our internal users. Because people, if they are able to focus on don't caring even where to go in the interface to actually change that view, because now we are in that stage. Imagine that we as managers, that we have to do some reviews. When we get to that stage of the year, why should we go to 10 different places and click on 10 different things just to do the thing that we are focused on that week? If the system knows us and we get that context to the system, we should be able to get the system to focus on those set of tasks.
Yeah, so how we achieve this? There is three main ways of generating interfaces using AI. We call it generative AI, but there is one first layer that is a more static way, that basically we just pre-build components, and then the AI decide when to show one of that components. Basically, AI just used components as a tool. Typically, in a chatbot, it just used the UI components as a tool to show a chart or to show an element that needs an AI. And I actually I can, while we explain which one of these, in the other presentation I didn't have time, but here maybe I can say one and then explain each one of them. For example, here, this is the first example. I'm talking with the chatbot. I just need, for example, something that can be rendered in a specific chart, and the AI just decide to return a chart instead of returning text. And then the declarative way, something in between that allows you still to have some control. So we need to pre-build all of the components, and then the AI will use the components, but it will not use a single component. The AI will create the entire interface, and will be able to use the multiple components together to create some interface, some complete interface. And for that one,
And that was the example of, so for people to understand.
yeah, this is a simple example of the second one, the one that have multiple components together. So here is not a chart, it's already a table, a chart. It can be something much more complex than this. Here is just a quick example. Later we will also show more details, and then the agentic base or full customized way is basically everything is full customized. So on this type, instead of having pre-built components, the AI really generate all of the HTML on demand. This can be useful in some particular cases, but at the same time, if we are generating an interface, we might have brand problems. Like the AI, instead of generating something that is aligned with your brand, it can generate something very random. But for cases like this example, for example, this will take more time, but
just for people
here,
to
instead
have a
of creating an interface like a normal dashboard or something like that, is generating a piece of interface that helps you understand something. This one will take some seconds. Basically, here is generating a custom chart with some animations to try to represent, in this case, the neural network, how it works in neural network. So this one in the middle, we believe that is the ideal one when we want to integrate this kind of technology in a system. But actually the other two have very nice use cases, like as you're seeing, for example, if inside of the interface we want to generate a specific UI thing that is completely customized, we might use the agent-based agentic to generate that, while all of the other components should have consistency in the declarative way.
And so this is one of the things that we saw out there. So when Nelson and I started to understand what could be one of the challenges that might have exist in the market, and we started having some conversations, one of the examples that came to mind was this one. So if we look at banking and we move forward to the next slide, we can show you usually what do you get, right? So whatever you bank, whichever bank you use or banking application you use, you usually get the same. So you do have like a light level of customization, which allow you to see maybe payments here and then choose which options you have in the main navigation and whatnot. But most cases, we all get the same. We all see the balance, we all see some transactions and the main navigation, and that's probably it. Some neobank app probably goes a bit further and whatnot. So what we wanted to show is the potential that we have to have two different people. So Sophia that we portrayed here, she's a student. She barely earns any money, or well, she probably has a tight budget. And then we have Miguel, which is an accountant. And if we looked at the slide that we were showing before, both of them see exactly the same. They see a balance, much different, right? Sophia's balance, definitely not Miguel's balance. And even the transaction level that they see or the amounts in those transactions, very, very different. But if we then would allow them to have a customized, personalized experience of the same app with the same components, with the same transaction information that they have, but being two things. One, customized for them, personalized, but also proactive, which means that if you have agentic behind the design of this experience, that the context alone can drive the agent to understand if you're tight on budget, maybe you should be careful with the next transactions, maybe you should understand that you only will earn money within 15 days, so probably you have to be careful because you already spent more than half of the money that you got, or maybe set a goal to achieve something, to buy something that you really, really want as a way for you to start saving towards that goal, and then for that you get the motivation. In Miguel's case, it's very different because he wants to understand when he's getting the return on taxes that he probably is mandatory to submit, if he has balance to pay the salaries at the end of the month, and if he got any weird transactions because probably that's fraud or something like that. So two very different people with two very different sets of expectations, needs, and experiences can be delivered from the same app, but just using this option that we showed you at the beginning, which is the declarative process that Nelson just described, where Sophie can have one experience tailored to her, proactive, understanding the context of someone that probably doesn't earn too much money, so they have to be creative with how they run the money, against someone that is established, probably has a business, and this account has probably a lot more concerns when it comes to money, how they manage money. And again, if Miguel has too much money in his balance, they should ping Miguel to invest that money or to put in some savings and more proactive ways to invest the money, or if there's something outstanding that he needs to pay attention to, right? So same experience, same banking, two different people, two very different experiences. And again, keeping the same layout, keeping the same brand experience, not breaking that, but allowing the brand to communicate very differently with someone that is young and just a student, for someone that is probably a bit more mature in the different stage of their lives and running a business.
I believe these personalized experiences bring like the return of investments came from in two ways. Or you upsell more your product or services, like in this case of end user application. It can be the case here, like by personalizing the experience, we can show the right product in the right moment. For example, in the case of Miguel, maybe suggesting a deposit, a specific deposit, or some kind of investment. The other way is the productivity, and here is more for internal tools. If the system give you the right things in the right moment, you become more productive. So there you see these two ways of getting the return of investment, and of course also in the loyalty part. Like if the person in a B2C see your application more appealing, more helpful, it's also prefer to use your system maybe instead of the concurrency. So I just touch on the enterprise, but go ahead.
Yeah, but this is just a use case that Nelson and I used to describe this, to allow you to have something tangible, very concrete, for you to understand what it is that we are proposing here with this Gen UI approach. But this is what we have in reality, right? So you're probably not in the neobank startup that you can do that customization from scratch. You probably have to face these legacy systems that we all use in a more B2B environment, where if you are in an enterprise, you're probably bound to a Salesforce, to a CRM, to an HR tool, to some of these tools, and then you get bounded to them. And especially when you run a more complex set of operations, you need to understand in which systems you need to do what. So that is one of the challenges that we have nowadays. how did we approach this? We needed a way to make sure that people didn't lose that source of truth, that many scattered ecosystem. If we started to say, okay, so how do we apply AI here? Or how do we even introduce AI to an organization that is bounded to some of these systems um, without breaking anything? Because most of the approaches that we've seen in the market is that, oh, okay, let's do something from scratch or on the side, and that operation or that process or that application will be the foundation for something amazing that will build AI. What we are proposing is something a bit different. Nelson, go ahead.
Yeah, so first, to generate something customized, first we need to have context. Like here we were just showing like the possibilities of multiple kind of interfaces that you might have in your company. So if you want to have a single place where you could interact with the system, where you could understand what you have to do, we need to integrate with that systems. We can make that integration with APIs, MCPs. It will be basically integration, but that integration will be the key to keep data, to centralize the data in one place. After centralizing the data, we are basically getting data from that legacy systems, and then allow us to pass context, to give some context to these LLMs. You might be thinking, okay, but I will share with the AI all of the information of my company. There are multiple ways of making that in a safe way. One of the ways will be by having a local AI instead of exposing for some AI external, so we can have the AI running locally without data going away. We can also optimize the information that is being loaded to the AI. The AI can decide, can make decisions about what to show, sometimes without really see everything. It can receive context about number of tasks or trying to understand some urgencies without receiving everything, and also being anonymized.
Okay. Before you go forward, Nelson. So basically, if I had to translate this into common language, it means that what we are proposing here is that we open a bridge, we open a gates between the systems that we have in the ecosystem and an agentic process that we want to set up on top of that allows us not only to read information from those systems, but to have a full interaction of reading, writing, transcribing, bringing something that pops up to whatever agentic experience we are trying to design.
We have been exploring these, and we have a lot of things done already with generative UI, and starting integrating in these things. But this is new for everyone, right? Like this is also kind of a vision of the future. Like I believe, and actually we will even show a video that will get that more in detail. But in an overview, this architecture is the architecture that makes sense. Okay, then actually is the other example. So
Let's do it.
we have a live example to do with you. When we start seeing real things, maybe it get more simple. We have here this QR code where you can scan. I can also
definitely
share
use your
the
phone.
link. I'm already showing some. I will share.
And I'll do the same. I'll actually scan and see and give my own answers, although we have already this done. So
I'm sharing in the chat the link also.
Don't worry, we are definitely not scraping anyone's information. We know that it's a legit thing. It's just a demo environment, just to show you the customization of the application. And I'm actually sharing and I'll generate mine here in the phone. So it's actually, I can show you what's doing. So it's just generating. It's too much then. It's just generating, and I'll show you the result. It's just, it generated something very similar to what we can see probably afterwards. It's, yeah, the backlight here is horrible. Let me just get more light to see if I can get the context. Not that much, but yeah.
We actually have here the
Yeah.
interface also.
Yeah.
In the presentation.
And you'll see the difference between, this was a test that I did with Nelson and I. So you see my dashboard is a little bit different than what Nelson has on the next slide. That we can see that the tasks, the focus, the dashboard, that the application setup. And again, this is just a fake interaction because I'm just force feeding a little bit of information to simulate the context that this agent will have if it really interacts with me and my systems, right? So if you see the other example, which would be Nelson's example, you'll see that it's very different from mine. So this is my interface. And then if we see the next one, this is Nelson's interface on the side. So you have on the left mine, on the right Nelson's. And you see that Nelson has alerts, two different sets of metrics. I have very different sets of metrics. My curve here represents the completion of work. For it, it's more the execution of something. So it really adapted to the context. And again, this was just an example. And if you can still scan the QR code that we have on the top right of the slide, and you can see it. Just answered a few of the questions that we have there, and we can actually see how many of you are answering and what questions that we have, just to understand the type of interface that we have. When we did this live, we had like 130 people using this. And of course, it made sense to say, okay, just share this with the person on the side, and you'll see how different it is. In your case, just see it, because it's going to be definitely different from what I have here, from what I have there, and even using it. Okay, and we already have a question from Jean. So it's a set of pre-prepared elements that it picks and adapts to the user, not a fully generated UI from scratch. It's a little bit of that. Okay, as Nelson showed, we have the static, which is more of what you are probably describing here, João, where we have the modules, the components, and then you just pick the right ones and you put there. Here, it's the second one. So you'll generate within some brand guidelines the elements. Okay, but you ahead, Nelson. Yeah.
Yeah, I was explaining that, like, here we choose on purpose not to generate free HTML because we wanted to simulate a real scenario. Like, okay, we have a company dashboard. I don't want, or maybe in some cases we want, but in general we want the dashboard to look the same in terms of brand. The thing that we are customizing here is the content. For each one of us, the structure, the cards, the information inside the cards change depending on the person. Is full generated by the AI. Is the AI that decide which components shows. We have some guidelines. For example, we always want to have a header at the beginning. If you notice when you were generating the interface, the first thing that appeared was the header and the sentence, because one of the problems that we are still trying to solve is actually the velocity of loading these things. And because going through the LLM, it will take time, and for now it's impossible to just reduce that close to zero. So instead of, since we cannot reduce, we try to generate things, if possible, stream the UI and giving things little by little. Like that sentence that I was saying is the first thing that appears, is a quick call to LLM just to generate inspire sentence while the rest of the interface is being generated. I believe in a real scenario, mainly in a dashboard, if it will be a dashboard that will be like your cockpit, the velocity will not be critical because you will have the system open and the system will change depending on the things that are appearing. Like if you have a new task, the dashboard appeared 2 minutes and don't need 2 minutes, but if appear 2 minutes after you have that task, is not really a problem. So we actually have here two different dashboards. We have the dashboard that each one of you generated, and then we have other dashboard that is generated depending on the quantity of submissions. So in this case, because we have 150 submissions, and with the data on the submissions, the AI decide to show these cards and decide to show, for example, one of the questions were the distribution, the work context. So it generates a chart about this, other about the family situation. Like it seems that we have 58, 50. Okay, so is the couple is the ones that have less. This one seems that didn't populate well. And this the dashboard update itself depending on the submissions. So if no one submit nothing more, this will not change. But if people keep submitting answers, this will update again and change a little bit depending on the submissions. Actually, this daily trend, this was the day of the presentation, and this is today.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, so today people are more shy.
Cool. But to give people room to ask questions, shall we move to the video? Okay. So.
But there is the video there in LinkedIn. We can give you some time for you to listen. And maybe we just let the video playing here. Basically, we are simulating like a new software in a company, like a company that just released a new software, but now this version of software is proactive. So the software, when our colleague Carlota open the software, just give directly the right information and some tasks that she was not even thinking, just take their attention. And then during the day, the system is omnipresent. Like instead of just showing things in dashboard, it send messages, or it send notifications for the user with not just the things that need to do, but with help of the things that need to be done, like helping creating the documents, or helping generating some of the things that she need to do for her to grab and then continue the work. And of course, this omnipresent system is something that we are working on, but it have a lot of touch points, and each project is one project. So we basically are searching also to work with you to try to find real cases where we can try to apply this kind of technology to help you helping getting this future.
Let's just share the page where we have more examples where people can actually scan and go to the use cases, to the case study, that we have on our website. So we have two very different examples of two versions of this that we shared here today. We have one that is more of an agent fetching information and pieces of UI from three different systems in an organization, then allowing people to interact either directly in the agent or going to the interface and then doing that. The other one is more of the adaptive experience, that having in mind who you have and what type of needs that person reports. So this was more for a touristic operation application. It generates a catered experience. So it's more of a concierge that it's there asking you a few questions, and then regarding your answers, it will design a new set. So your experience is going to be unique. If someone else comes after you, it's not going to have the same answers, not going to have the same proposals. Right? While you do that, Nelson, just talking about the two first conversations we had a few months, well, it's not a few months anymore. It was already last year, so almost like 9 months ago when we first started to have these conversations about the Declarative UI and Generative UI. One of the first few challenges that we got to think about this was a company that was trying to cater a given experience in this sector. I can say it was real estate, and they said we are doing all of these campaigns and we want to attract the right people. And then when people land in our page, then they get the same vanilla experience from everyone else. So they were actually spending a lot of money trying to acquire, trying to kind of funnel in the people to land in their website. But then everyone that landed there, regardless of where in the world they were, which of the ads they saw, and all of that, they would get the same experience. And we went a little bit further from the normal approach, which is if you're trying to grab 20 different personas, you should have like 20 different versions of the landing page, and then you go from there. And we said, okay, but why shouldn't we?
Yeah, because they were actually already with that level of customization in the advertisement. They were kind of scaling personalization in their advertisement. So if you have very personalized ad, then you click in the banner and you go to a landing page that is equal for everyone.
So we have a question here. In our opinion, what are the main challenges, difficulties currently in GenUI? Can you highlight any use case that aren't obvious at the moment, but where you see the potential for GenUI? So I just mentioned this one from real estate. How do you think it will evolve over the next year or two? Nice question. Thank you.
Yeah, we just give the example of the bank. The bank app, I think is really like all apps, all bank apps look the same. All of them start with the balance and the movements.
I agree.
So having something personalized there, I think it makes sense. Ricardo just give this example also of the real estate, the personalized, but don't need to be real estate. Could be like any kind of landing page for hyper-personalized advertisement. But for the landing pages, there are still the issue of the velocity. Like a landing page is much more critical to load faster than a system. I think the other case is really like in a enterprise level, like giving you the right information in the right time. Like and here, of course, my answer will be a little vague because each company is a different company. But basically, the concept of centralizing the multiple things that you need to do in one place. One example that I used to do, for example, if you need to book holidays, and probably don't your company have a specific place where you need to go to request that holidays. Why the interface, the same interface, can have also a chatbot, and you can just say, I want to book some holidays next month, in the day from day X to day Y, and submit. Or by typing, or you can just ask, I want to book holidays, and the system generate a form on demand for you to choose the dates that you want, or show you, or when did I book holidays, and the system directly generate a calendar with the days that you booked holidays.
Cool. I think that we gave a nice overview of everything that it's, well, not everything, but the most common things that we've thought about, that we've been implementing. There's any last question? Otherwise, I think we can. A very technical question here. Is this app using A2A UI protocol?
This specific don't. The question is about the app that
is this app
we shared, or this one?
Probably,
the
I
app
would
that
guess.
We shared.
Yeah.
Yeah, the app that we share is using that protocol. This one don't. There are multiple other multiple options. For example, even Vercel have a generative UI option, but that is more simple. It's also more for the component level.
Is there recommended resources to go deep with Gen?
Basically, the resources, like you need to, if you use the A2UI from Google, for example, you need to install the SDK, the base of the project. But then the UI itself, I don't know if the question is basic resources about the UI itself. But UI typically are React components, and the React components have normal input parameters. So the React components can be used as a tool. So the AI can understand, okay, you have this component, have this interface, these input parameters, and should render in this way and make the choice for you to use one or other component in one time or other.
Yeah, there's only one last question. I think we answered this and we can wrap up the webinar.
Okay.
What will be the best LLM to use for Gen UI? It's a trick question.
If we use a very small model and fast, it will work if we ask simple things to, for example, my first question, to just render a drop down or just render a to-do list. Small model, it will work well. Like, let me see if this works now. First, small model, fast model it will be faster than or a bigger one. But then if you have multiple things, if you have multiple components and multiple tools, like now, for example, this is actually what I wanted to do from Breeze. So now I didn't choose the little one. I choose the Flash because the first time I tried to load something from a API call with the little, the AI just said me that it didn't have any tool to do that. So with a more advanced model, could actually load. So what happened here? I first asked to create a to-do list, but the to-do list was just a component. The data that was there was not real. Then I asked load my data from Breeze, and then it make a fetch and load some tasks and load that tasks in the interface that were already done. Didn't create everything from scratch again. It could, but in this case, it tried to reuse what already exists in the page and build on top of that.
Nelson, thank you. I think we are at the time of the hour, so I hope everyone enjoyed our snippet of all of these things that we shared in a bit more of a rush 3 weeks ago. But this is to give you a flavor of what we've been doing at Mediaweb with Agentic, and especially with this Gen UI technology. And for us, it's more than a technology. It's an approach on how we can provide better experiences to optimize how people can interact with the systems, right? So you are not forced to have the same experience. And this is really, really important. And as you probably understood by now, our concern is more on what experience we can cater to people, more than just to use the technology because it's like the new trend or the new thing that we can use. Cool. So I think see you in the next one.
Yeah, see you in the next one. Feel free to reach us, to ping us on LinkedIn or to send us messages. As I think I said before, we are exploring this. We want to explore this with you. So bring your challenges. We would like to help trying to figure out how to use this technology in the different ecosystems, in different scenarios of the that the companies have.
Yeah. Great. Thank you all for coming and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.